friends, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into this DIY. So first, the materials you are going to need are 2 roses. I'll explain why you need the second one a little bit later. Some Mod Podge, a hot glue gun, this little sponge painter thingy. I don't know the correct name for it, so that's just what I'm saying. And you can either get glitter or mica powder, which is what they use in makeup, like highlighters and things like that. Now, if you're going to do that, you want to get sort of this lilac-y purple iridescent kind of looking thing. And then the last thing you're going to need is this big thing in the middle. I'm so sorry, I do not know the name of it, but I know you can find it right by like the fake flowers and decorations. I got this at IKEA, but I've seen it at Target by like the candles and section. If you know the name of this, just comment down below, but you know what it looks like. Now, the first thing you want to do is manipulate your flower to fit exactly how you want it to fit inside the container. So you may have to bend it around. I had to adjust my flower multiple times throughout the tutorial and actually even at different steps that I was doing. You may do that too, so don't feel bad if you have to keep readjusting. But one thing I will say is you can make it as tall or short as you want. You just don't really want it to touch the top. See, as you can see here, it's a little bit too close to the sides. And it may still touch to the sides a little bit, depending on how wide your container is. But one thing that is true with the movie is that the rose is turned over. It's not standing up straight, so you do want to curve it to kind of droop it. Because think about it, the rose is kind of dying slowly. It's keeping the fate of the beast. On a paper plate, you're going to want to pour out some Mod Podge. I poured out way too much, so just don't do this amount. And also pour your glitter, or I'm using the powder here. And what you're going to do is use that little sponge brush, and you're going to paint the edges of the rose, and then you're going to kind of roll it around and dip it in that powder. Now, the only problem with using mica powder, which is a problem that I had, is that it is sort of like a eyeshadow texture. So it's a little bit harder to work with, and you don't need a lot of it to be kind of sparkly. You can skip this step if you want to, but I really like it because one thing that I noticed that I remember as a kid that I loved was the look of the rose and how it was sort of glimmery and shimmery, and it had this like purple iridescent kind of look to it. And another thing that you can do is add little fairy lights around the rose if you want to do that too and make it sort of like a light fixture. But I did want to incorporate this part because I wanted to sort of mimic that beautiful rose that I remember seeing. It's such a staple in the movie that I thought that it was pretty important to make it kind of a little bit glamorous. And while the other rose dries, you are going to take that second rose and tear off some leaves. I only ended up using 3. You can add more or less. Now, I liked using 3, and I'll tell you why when we get to that part in the tutorial. But this one was a little bit difficult to take apart. I got these roses at IKEA, but I have tried like dollar store flowers before to make things, and they tore apart just a little bit nicer and easier. But you can always adjust and work with what you got because the end product is still gonna look good no matter what. Okay, so first things first is make sure that the bottom is flipped up the right side, because after I filmed this part here, I had to take it all apart and redo it because I'm a dum-dum. But anyway, so basically what I am doing here is I am making a mini mountain of hot glue around the stem of the rose. And I am holding it up and keeping it stable with my hand so it will dry exactly how I want it. And if your hand starts to get tired, another thing that I really liked is when I put the glass top on top, the side of the rose kind of touches up against it, which is fine, but it really helped keep it in place. And don't worry about that hot glue mountain bottom because you won't see that, because this is why I used 3 petals, because the petals at the bottom, which first of all, they already had petals at the bottom in the movie, so that's not a surprise, but they also played a great role in hiding that hot glue mountain, and nobody even knows what's underneath there. And you can add some of that glitter and stuff that you did before on the other leaves, but I didn't do that here, which is not an issue for me. And the one last thing you might need to adjust, you might not, but I wanted my leaves to look a certain way. So I just put a little bit of hot glue and held them onto the stem so that they sat a certain way whenever they were in the case. And it makes it help look a little more enchanting. Well, that is it for this tutorial. I hope this helped you or inspired you. And if it did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you like what I'm doing here, I do different DIYs, beauty stuff, and random videos. Be sure to hit that red subscribe button and become a friend of mine. And thank you again for watching. I know I'm super stoked overall just for the movie because Beauty and the Beast was my favorite Disney movie as a kid, and Belle was my favorite princess. I mean, I was even her for Halloween in first grade. Well, have a blessed and beautiful day, guys. See you next time.